Welcome, episode 21, in which we are arbitrarily calling is the start of season 2.
Absolutely.
Because why not? 20 is a milestone. I think we're pretty pleased to have got to that.
Absolutely. Most postcards, most podcasts don't make it past episode 10.
Yeah.
Just for context. So I think we're smashing it. So, yeah. Celebration.
Most people own less than 10 postcards.
Yes, true.
Statistically.
And just for those that were thinking postcodes, most people own less than 10 postcodes.
Absolutely.
So we're winning.
Yeah.
By all the posts.
by every
per.
Every per. We win on every measurable there is.
There we go.
Yeah. You might have noticed something different.
Yeah. I did. I don't know about you.
I walked in and thought, this isn't your house.
This isn't my house. It's supposed to be as you walked in, not as you drove up and got a little bit lost on the way in.
Yes, as I drove to a different place entirely.
Yeah. So we're in Cambridge at the moment. I'm on work retreat with Angus, who's a good friend of mine, and we hire Airbnbs 2 or 3 times a year just to get some focus work done. So this is an Airbnb in Cambridge, Portugal Street to be specific. Once this is out there, I won't be in here. So
you can't come and rob us.
No, not that you'd want to anyway. Knowing that we only have one postcode between us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, then the ironing board's here, so you could come and nick that. Pretty standard Airbnb. It is not the same quality that we're used to, obviously, with the Brabantia ironing boards. I can't even
not
see
sponsored.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even see a make on this one. It is just
cheap
Argos job or whatever.
Yeah. But it's there. It's almost like a surfboard that you'd hang on the wall, but it's just being really proud of an ironing board.
Ironing board. Touch it. Well, we feel there needs to be a little bit of continuity.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it will just throw.
We'll lose viewers.
We'll lose viewers.
Will you lose all 3 viewers?
Is that possible? We need to keep them engaged by having an ironing board so they know where they are in life.
Yeah. Wait, there's no ironing board. No, off.
No. I don't know if that's the 2 guys I usually watch. Oh no, the ironing board's there. That is them.
Yeah.
That's those brothers.
So, enough of an intro. What's the topics today, bro?
Well, we're in the centre of historic Cambridge, so they'll probably talk a little bit about Cambridge, and we have before spoken a little bit about growing up in Cambridge. Mm-hmm. But what we've not really done is talk more about, well, what do we think of it now? It's where we grew up, but do we come to Cambridge? I mean, we're here now.
Yeah.
Do we want to come to Cambridge? And why?
Okay. Well, I have to say, whenever I'm in Cambridge, it feels like I'm home. I just like it. I say I like it. I love it in Cambridge. I like going down the cobbled streets. I like going to places where I used to street perform in Cambridge. It just feels, I don't know, there's something about familiarity that breeds comfort and confidence. If you're new in your environment, you kind of feel a bit shaky. You don't really know what people are like, which doesn't really make any sense when you think about it, because the turnover of people in Cambridge, I assume, but people, students, foreign students, and people just moving around. Like, you go into any city, it's just as dangerous as the last. Mm-hmm. But I just feel really confident here, and I guess wherever you are and it feels nice and comfortable, you're less likely to feel vulnerable and like someone's going to rob you.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I'm sure statistically you're just as likely to be robbed in Cambridge as you would in many other places.
Yeah.
Of a similar size.
Yeah.
And the population here fluctuates massively, doesn't it, in the summer? And we're here now in the summer. Driving to this place was quite awkward, and there is a lot of tourists on the streets. The school holidays as well, so there's quite a lot of kids around as well. It's a busy place, but then I always remember it being a busy place. I don't think that has changed. It has always been popular with tourists, in particular, the language students that come here, and of course it's always had the universities, always had lots of students. So I feel like there's kind of a vibe and energy and a busyness about it.
But there's also a turnover, because it's like summertime, students bugger off and all the kids and mums and families are here and tourists. And then come September, for the rest of the year, up until Christmas time, it's all student based.
Yeah.
Then Christmas, it's just busy for shoppers. Then round and round we go again.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's a constant circulation of new blood coming through the city.
Yeah.
Which maybe adds to a bit of the kind of buzz and the sort of pop about the place.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's also remarkably diverse for the same reasons. People from all over the world, and we grew up with them in the house. Not all of them.
No, not all of them.
One or two at a time, because we had language students in the house growing up. Come do homestays, in the spare room. So we were in a bunk bed, and then the spare room, we had a student,
Yeah.
which when we were kids was really amusing because, we were two young brothers that were probably very annoying to live with when you're a student trying to study. But it was really good for us, I feel, because we just got very used to having a Korean person being around people of different nationalities and learning how to count, and they'd show us their money. And we'd go,
Sweets.
Yeah, and they'd bring us sweets and stuff. We absolutely loved it. And that is one of the great things about Cambridge, actually, how diverse it is. And I think that also breeds quite a lot of tolerance as well. And historically, Cambridge has always been a pretty safe kind of, on the liberal side kind of city.
I think it kind of has to because of the turnover of people. This is quite a melting pot. It's like a mini melting pot.
It is a mini melting pot. Yeah.
So how do you feel when you're in Cambridge?
I feel good. I have gone long periods of not coming into Cambridge because I moved outside of Cambridge because it is incredibly expensive. So when it was time and we could afford to move out, we moved outside of Cambridge, about 20 miles outside of Cambridge. When I come back, I probably appreciate it more though. If I'm walking around Cambridge, I feel good and it feels familiar, and there is comfort in that familiarity, as you say. So I always do really, really enjoy it. And it's also remarkable how it does change as well, particularly the shops and the buildings, not in the historic centre, but if you're anywhere just outside the historic centre, everything's just been redeveloped, and there are new apartments going up all the time. And so there's always something where I go, oh, that used to be a whatever, and we start to sound actually like our parents, like mum and dad, who every time was like, oh, that used to be an Eden Lily, or that used to be something like that.
I was just trying to think of what that shop was called. Eden Lilies.
And you go, oh God, you sound so old.
Yeah.
But I find I do exactly the same thing now.
Yeah. Well, I've worked in Black's Outdoor Shop. Used to be down Regent Street. That's now changed into something else. I think it's a coffee shop. The jewellery shop, H. Samuel, that I worked for, they're still there. But so many of the places have now changed, like loads of them. I'm just starting to sound like a really boring old person as I start rattling
Well, this is it. You start to go, well, that used to be Warhammer. That used to be on Quayside. There's now on Regent Street. Interesting fact there. Used to go there. My friends used to steal from there sometimes, actually.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Cheeky buggers.
Little bastards.
Yeah. I won't name them. This was a very long time ago, Warhammer legal representatives.
Yes.
Very long time ago. Have you ever been punting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
loads.
Yeah.
I was just checking, because that would be weird, isn't it? We lived here all that time. Because we were there. There's this thing in Cambridge called the Town and Gown, and there used to be immense rivalry, and it used to turn to violence, because the people of Cambridge were very different to the Gown, which were the student and university populations. And obviously the difference in class and disparity in wealth was massive. So there used to be these Town and Gown frictions and civil unrest and all these sorts of things a long, long time ago.
Didn't know about this.
Yeah, there's a pub up on Castle Hill. It was a gay pub for a while called the Town and Gown. I can't remember the point I was going to make now.
What is it? It's friction, people between the upper classes and the lower classes.
Yeah.
There is now a theatre pub where Fez Club is called Town and Gown.
Oh, okay.
So you've got like a little mini theatre there.
So it's kind of lived on, hasn't it?
Mm.
Well, we were part of the town, so we didn't go to Cambridge University. We just grew up in Cambridge, regular kind of working class people. And I remember coming into town and not really being in awe of anything. I think I just assumed as a kid that this is what places look like. And then it's only as you get older and you go to other places that you...
Oh.
Yeah, so you appreciate it more as you get older.
I think we are incredibly lucky to have been brought up in Cambridge.
Yeah.
Just because it is a nice place. There's loads of history, cobble streets. You're right. I think whenever I go to a city, like if I go to Milton Keynes, it's like, oh... Not because it's a nasty place, but it's just concrete everywhere. There's no history. It's just And I hate the grid system, one-way
Yeah.
system with loads of roundabouts. I hate it.
Yeah, it's one of these places. Let's build a town. Okay, get a pen out and start drawing a town.
Get
and
your pen and
build it.
ruler.
Yeah.
No, like, I just don't like it. And actually, I've noticed maybe that is because I grew up here. I prefer a city or a town or a location which has like a weird building as a landmark to remember, rather than just another square building.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where I am. I don't know how people survive in New York. Like block 7, what is it?
Yeah.
3 blocks down.
2 blocks down.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. So
Yeah.
how many minutes is it? They don't seem to do in minutes, is it? It's blocks.
Yeah, blocks. Because a block is like a regimented.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
It's how, so a block is, because it's made up of grids. Like
Yeah,
a
but
thing.
what does it mean in terms of how quickly I'll get there? Well, I suppose they
You know how long a block is?
They know how
Yeah.
long a block is, so yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use that here.
Whereas here it's like follow the road round until you've done a full circle, then look left for the spire of the whatever, and then do 360-degree turn down the cobbled street.
I'm
And
starting to think blocks is more efficient. Because everyone's had those directions where, you know, from an older person generally now, it's like, oh yeah, so which route are you going home? So I'll just follow the map.
Yes, the computer.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't do that. You want to go left out of here with the post box, and on the left hand side, and Mindy lives on the left hand side, and she's got 2 dogs. But anyway, you go down there, you go right. You see right? No, second right on the left, and then we go. It's like I'm just going to follow
the computer.
what the computer says.
The computer will tell me.
And they'll still tell you.
Yeah. I wish I had a person like that to ask on the way here today. Because we are really in the centre of Cambridge, not used to driving this far into town, really.
No.
And the sat-nav told me the way to go, and it's the second time I've done this recently where I've not trusted the sat-nav. And I've thought, oh no, I can't go down there because there's buses only in Rising Bollards. Except there wasn't.
Yeah.
So I did a massive loop which got me to a place where the only option I had was to drive all the way back round.
So you just got stressed on the way
and
in.
follow the sat-nav.
God's
Yeah,
sake.
10 minutes of my life I will never get back.
Well, you know, it's a bit more Cambridge.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is lovely, you know, we've got Jesus Green and Christ Peace and Midsummer Common as well. Big open green spaces, isn't it? Which is a little bit unusual for some big cities, I think, to have so much green space. But there are plenty around in Cambridge, which is good.
Angus and I went kayaking, was it yesterday or the day before? And just down the Cam, rented out 2 kayaks. And actually there's a shit ton of wildlife going down there. We saw herons, we saw a kingfisher, a bunch of other, I mean, Angus studied geography, so he knows animals and shit.
Oh, okay.
So he was like naming them all off. But yeah, it was like, oh my God, there is a lot of, and there's cows like on a random common as you drive in.
Yeah.
It's like, there's actually a lot of green space and a lot of nature around here, considering you are in a city.
Yeah.
It's quite nice to have that. Whereas I think in a lot of places, it's just there's the city and then roads out of the city.
That's right.
There's
yeah.
not really a proper nature unless it's like man-made.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels quite organic. Like the city was built around the nature, around the river, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's another dimension as well when you're walking around the city, is having the river. I never really thought of it as, it's really weird, isn't it? I never really thought of Cambridge having a river, even though we clearly have a river. Do you know what I mean?
It's always been there, yeah.
Yeah, it's just part of Cambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never noticed that. Whereas conversely, when I've been to Bedford, it's like, oh yeah, they have a river here. And it kind of stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here, it's just like, it's part of the city. It's just normal. I don't know. That's really, I've only just noticed that. It's
So they have a river in Bedford?
Yeah.
Do you know, I've never been to Bedford.
You're not missing out on anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah. Although I'm sure it has redeeming features and, you know.
Oh, yeah. The people of Bedford are lovely people to look at from afar. No, I jest.
No one's watching.
No one's watching. Well, if this ever takes off, then we're going to get in so much trouble from like episode 1 up to episode 20.
I know. When did we start self-editing? Well, it's when people started listening.
Yes. Why are your episodes only 5 minutes long from like years ago?
Well, you know, trimmed them up a bit. Took out the casual slurs of where people grew up.
Yeah. There's a lot of locations that we've slagged off, actually.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we've done Stevenage, Luton, I know.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, that was top of the list.
Yeah. Let's not name them all in this.
Oh, yeah. That's some more to
They can be peppered through. If you keep on listening, you find that we turn into a game, can't we?
Yeah, that's right.
Drinking game.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, I think with Cambridge in mind, I don't know where I was going. I was trusting my inability. I was trusting my ability to ad lib there. I was like, I'll think of something after this sentence.
Something will be there as you progress through the sentence.
Yeah,
I rely on that a lot in life. I do. So if I'm in a work meeting, rarely this happens, where you are. You've lost interest in whatever the meeting's about. This is all remote. And then you hear, so Chris, what do you think? I think some really interesting points have been made here. I have to say, I go with just pick somebody else in the meeting. I'd agree with that person. just hope you got away with it.
Do you think we should fire half of HR? I mean...
You think we should run the business into the ground?
What? Did you realise, Chris, that you'd be using your job with that?
Damn.
Sorry, I got a bad connection. I must have missed.
Yeah. Then Pippi walks in the background. Fucking cat.
The radio's still perfectly.
Yes. Oh, a blink by accident. I haven't got Twitch.
So yeah, with Cambridge in mind, and I'm still relying on that thing. Is there anywhere where you would live if it was in Cambridge that springs to mind? That you visited?
That I visited? Oh, it's the difference between where would I just love to live for the experience, but actually I've got no appreciation of what the realities of living there is like, or is it somewhere I think I could live very practically?
Go for both. Go for practical first.
Edinburgh was really nice.
Yeah?
And I think it's because...
It feels like Cambridge.
It has something... yeah, it's true. I think, if I was to live somewhere else, I think it would be somewhere with a similar kind of vibe. Certainly on a kind of more medium to longer term basis. Somebody said, if you could relocate and live somewhere. Whereas I would like to live somewhere quite different, somewhere like a completely different change of pace, like New York. I imagine living there for 6 months just would be an incredible experience. If you had the money to enjoy the New York lifestyle, it would be amazing. 6 months, right. But I could never see myself living there for longer than that.
No.
In fact, 6 months might be a bit much, maybe 3 months. Because it is, I've only been there the once. It's a really in-your-face place. And that's why you go, I think, as a tourist. And obviously, you've seen so much of it through TV and cinema. It feels really familiar. Well, I found it very familiar. You can't walk down the street. Yeah, I have seen this 100 times before. True. And there's something quite cool about that. But it is intense, like the amount of people. And
it's a dense place.
Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible kind of place. But yeah, it's probably that Edinburgh's like that. I quite liked. Bury St Edmunds is quite nice. I'm not being very ambitious here. Bury St Edmunds is half an hour down the road, and again has something of a Cambridge vibe, but less intense and less busy than Cambridge can be.
Cobbled streets, city centre.
Yeah, it's got the
outskirts, bit of greenery.
The abbey with the ruins in. It's a really lovely little place. Yeah, but in a bit like New York, I'd love to live in Italy. That would be amazing. Again, for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that would be an incredible experience because I just love Italy. But I'd use it as a base to do lots of trips around and things. But really anywhere. And I was thinking about this. Now we're in a world of remote working as pretty much a semi-permanent thing, at least. That option has opened up where people can say, do you know what, I'm going to take my laptop. As long as I don't go to a crazy time zone, I could spend a month living and working abroad. Just because.
Why not?
And so I'll kind of mull it over a bit more. Obviously, I've got the cats to think about at the minute, so it'll probably be, in the future when when he's gone to kitty heaven. But,
Nice.
Yeah. Could you do that?
Live in another place. I think if I were... I've had this conversation with a few people before. Like, could I live in London? And I don't think... There's no appeal now. I just don't... I wouldn't want to live there. I think the pace is too much. I don't know. It's just too much. And... there's no appeal. I don't know. There's just no appeal. There's a lot of work in London for what I do, for entertainment. There's loads of events happening. A lot of my friends live in London. I just don't have any kind of ambition to live there just because it's not the lifestyle I like. I just like Cambridge. It feels like, I don't know, I'm kind of motivated when I'm in Cambridge. I just feel better.
Yeah.
I think where I live now, which is slightly kind of, a lot of people would say in the country, depending where you're from, but it's out of the sticks. There's loads of open space. It backs onto a field. So there's loads of open space. As a result, the house that I'm in has much bigger rooms. And it's just like your world is bigger. Whereas in London, you're going to be in a small, crammed place where everything's kind of tightly packed in. Yeah. I mean, even this place, it's a big house, but this room isn't particularly big for what it is. I'd say, I don't know. I mean, it's not small, but I don't think I would want to live anywhere else. It sounds bad, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the thing with London is you walk out the door and it's just people.
It's noise.
Just,
Open the door and you just turn the volume up with your life.
So, there's London. Yeah.
Noise, people in a hurry, just people, places to be, money to be made. But, it's just intense social life, intense business. Yeah. Very, like, work hard, play hard.
You've really got to want that lifestyle, I think, to really be in the thick of it and want to live there. I couldn't deal with the London bogies. Every time I come back from London, I always end up
black,
blowing my nose when it's just like black.
Yeah,
I just think, wow, pollution.
Why do you want to live to London? Why do you want to move to London? London bogies.
London bogies, main reason.
Yeah,
top of the
list.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, where do you want to live? Tell us.
Tell us where you want to live.
And we'll tell you why it's a great idea or a terrible idea based on very little factual information.
Is that the question of the pod?
I think so.
Okay, question of the pod. Tell us where you live.
Tell us where you live.
Tell us where you live.
Just put your address.
Tell us where you want to live.
Comments.
Fuck's sake. Question of the pod.
Tell us where you want to live.
How do they find us, Chris?
q@stillwondering.com.
That's one.
Wandering with an A.
Wandering with an A.
Not an O. And it's working now, so we do get the questions.
Yes, we solved the email issue, so that we're now getting getting stuff through.
Yeah, or stick it in the comments if you like.
Yeah,
whatever you want. Don't let us tell you what to do.
It's that make sure to come back and listen to the next one.
Oh yeah, you
need the listeners.
You have to do that.
I think I looked at the program we've got because I re-uploaded all of them on the pod. We've had 7 listens, 1 listener.
Oh wow!
So Mum has been listening.
Oh, nice one, Mum.
Yeah, thanks, Mum.
Love ya.
Right, we'll see you in the next one.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.